Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining our session today. We're going to be respectful and appreciative of everyone showing up right on time, so we're going to get going. Um, Thank you very much for joining us. We're really excited. This tool and system has come a long way, and seeing all of you folks taking time out of your busy day to join to see what we've got that's new and new features, maybe some particular ones that we teased are of interest to you. That's phenomenal. Um, Maybe you're an existing user and you want to catch up on some new stuff that we have coming out. Uh, Perfect. Excited to have you here and excited to get things going. So, we're going to go through a quick overview as to what this software is for some of you that aren't familiar with it. I don't want to spend a lot of time reviewing all of the legacy features out of respect for those that are already familiar and want to see some of the new stuff. If there's specific existing modules that you want to see while you're here, near the end of the session, we'll leave some time so then everyone that's seen what they need to see can leave. And if someone wants to review the flood logs, the ice depths, the edging, circle checks, those items we can definitely review in the later half or latter half of the presentation. So what we're going to go through again is an overview. We will give a quick little teaser of the mobile app, which launched yesterday for existing users as a early access and will be coming soon to all rinks to be able to just download on an iOS device and Android and others as well. We're going to go through surface temperature readings. When we mean surface temp, we have an actual Bluetooth IR gun that we will show off, and you folks will be one of the first ones to see it. We're pretty blown away and impressed by the functionality of it and just the simplicity. If it's not simple, you won't use it. What we're showing you isn't earth-shattering stuff, but it's just taking existing things that you're doing and finding ways to tweak it and give you ways to leverage it and get the most out of it. Then we'll go through our ice rink scorecard. This is pretty exciting. Um, Dressing room assignments, which we just launched today as a first demo for all of you folks to see. I'll give you a little bit of peek of the usage module. And if there's any questions around pricing, then there's a follow-up survey we'd love for you folks to fill in just to get your feedback on what you thought was interesting, valuable, and if you'd like a follow-up. So let's get things going here. Um, if there's any questions, feel free to write it in the chat or in the Q&A and I'll respond to it. This is open discussion, so it doesn't have to wait till the end, and I'll try and address them as we go through it. Or if it's a longer, more detailed discussion, then we'll definitely get around to it. So, quick overview. This is a family business that started 40 years ago by my grandfather, and we started doing this before I was born, obviously. Scanning of technical documents for school boards and municipalities. Then we became like an AutoCAD reseller, and we started to build our own software 25 years ago. 10 years ago, the ORFA reached out to us, Ontario Recreation Facilities Association, and they said, could we build a simple tool for our members to collect inventory on their facilities? We said, yeah, sure. Then we had a few key organizations, Petawawa, Greenstone, and others give us feedback to say we need to do inspections and work orders and life cycle planning, and that continued to grow and evolve. The struggle that we had, though, predominantly in Canada and in Ontario, was a lot of municipalities have an asset management system in place. So the rec department can't just pick and choose something that they want to use. And they were aware of this platform, but they didn't have the opportunity to use it. We still are and were successful with the implementation of it, but there were definitely some roadblocks. Um, Fast forward 3 years ago, we were at Canada Life Center in Winnipeg, their 20,000 seat arena, and the folks there used the RFAM tool, and they suggested we have to do um, game day ice thickness readings. Want to come out and watch? We said, yeah, sure. We saw how it worked. They said, could you build a simple version of this like an RFAM for us to do a digital ice step check? We said, yeah, we can try. I said, we guarantee you get a bunch of people using it. I said, I don't know. We'll take that with a grain of salt. This is what it looked like. It was clunky. We built probably 3 versions over and over again, just a generic rink, not your logos, not where your ice resurfacer gate is. It was drop downs. You had to type it in. Took us a year and a half to build it, rebuild it over and over again properly until we built Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero was launched October of last year, 2024. So it's been out for about 12, 13 months now. and they were absolutely right. The adoption has blown us away. Every week now, we're getting 2 to 3 new organizations signing on. We're at now about 600 ice pads signed on in the last 12 months. Here's some of those organizations, as you can see, a variety. So from NHL, OHL, AHL, municipalities as large as ones that have 20 sheets of ice down to a single pad facility. This isn't meant just for premier facilities, but this is also meant for your single pad community rinks as well. And this is what it's built for. Um, so we'll go through and we'll show you some of the new features of how it works. And again, if we want to review some of these legacy modules, happy to log in and show you that as well. So for all of you that are familiar with this or this is your first time, it does offer the ability to do ice step checks, flood logs, plant readings, circle checklists, Bluetooth caliper, drill, automatically fills in your information. And we released a website a year ago that was its own individual website that had the adoption and traction kind of go through the roof. And with these 600 rinks now, we said, okay, what's the next step? Well, it's an app on a mobile app on the App Store. So this is your web app version. Many companies have web apps, but an app on the App Store is another beast. And showing appreciation to our customers and our users, they said we want an app. So you know what? They asked for it. We put the resources behind to develop it. And I'll give you a little sample here. So this is going to be a little bit tricky for me because this is a Apple feature where I can share my phone as opposed to me trying to flip it around. I can actually share I can actually mirror my phone so you can see it clearly. Give me a sec. It might take a second for me to do it. Try again. No. Oh, sorry. I know why. I'm not even reading what it's saying. I have to turn this off here. Can't be sharing with multiple devices. There we go. Okay, now I just got to approve it. And there we go. So if I swipe across here, scroll down, Sub-Zero. So you put up on your phone. Here it is loading up. Your loading screen. Everyone can be given their own unique login access. Remember me, terms and conditions. There we go. Sign in. Here's your app. You can pick between facility, ice pad, and see your average ice step, your max, your min, your average, your variance, those other widgets that we could add here for you for each of your rinks. You'll be able to see more trends, do circle checks, do your flood logs. We can switch this out and put in your surface temps, whatever you want, and your ice steps. So now here's your different templates, 29, 37, 52, 6 points, edging depth, 29 points. You can pick your facility. If you have multiple facilities, you can pick the ice pads within that facility. Oh, my apologies. Oh, because someone's trying to call me. Let's try this again. This is the beauty of a live demo. There we go. RFAM rink, press start. There's your rink. There's your logos, your layouts, your 29 points. I'm not going to connect my caliper right now, but click on point 1, drill, stick the caliper in the ice, click the button, boom, and it'll send the reading right to the software. And it opens the next point and you follow that snake pattern and goes all the way through. If you want to skip a point, you go to 15. Beautiful. 29. And again, with the caliper, it's even simpler. I just don't want to pair the caliper. I don't know if it's to pair to the phone or to pair to the computer. And I don't need you folks to sit here while I learn that for the screen sharing purpose. But there's all of your data. Once you're done and you're happy, press complete. Data saved successfully, saved to the cloud. There's my reading ID. There's the date, the asset, the ice pad. Here's the rink. Here's all the points that data was submitted for. 4 to 29 readings. Here's the average, max, min, variance, and the readings for all 29 points. Save, stored to the cloud. Done. Beautiful. More and more features are going to come online over the next few weeks or so. We've given access to about 15 organizations so far. This will be included for anyone who signs on with Sub-Zero to get access to the app. And this is just, we're excited. Accessing on a website is fine and we format it for a mobile device, but it's like trying to pull up Facebook or YouTube on a website. It's not as user-friendly. It's just downloading, having the app on your home screen and clicking on it. So this is the next iteration of the product. Through everyone's adoption, feedback is helping us get to this point. And I don't know if we would have thought even 2 years ago that there would be an app on the App Store to do all of your routine ice management completely digitally and not on paper or spreadsheets anymore. So that's an overview of the new app. If you want to learn more, if you want to see more, let us know. If you're an existing user and you want to try it out, if you become a user and you want to use the app, phenomenal. We'll be happy to provide you early access to the system. So next we got the rest. I'll show you through the system here. Surface Temps IR Gun. So you can look online and you can look for an IR gun. You can find them $50, $200. You can spend up to $1,000 on some IR guns. The only problem is you use the IR gun, it tells you the reading, you have to write it down, or you need a template or somewhere to write it into. So we built a surface temperature module, but still, if you use an IR gun, you got to shoot it and then look at it and then type it into a software. That's not user friendly and your staff might not want to do it. So we said, how can we make it as simple as possible? We looked and looked and looked and looked, and we couldn't find a Bluetooth IR gun. We ordered a bunch of them, received them. They're either an old form of Bluetooth that won't connect with an iOS device, only a Windows Vista or 96 PC, which wouldn't be helpful, or it only works with their proprietary app. So we actually are working together with an organization that manufactured. I'll show you actually an IR gun specific for Sub-Zero users. That is Bluetooth and pairs with the system, and you can shoot multiple points on your ice instantly and have it read right to the software. So that's just a picture, but I'll show you the real thing. So we are manufacturing, building these, sending these out. So for organizations that are interested, yes, you could use just a normal Milwaukee one if you want. But we've shared that with some rinks and they've said, nope, we want this one and we want one in each of our rinks. And this is it right here. So I'll show you exactly how it works. So if it's the same thing as your ice step check. Start, you have 17 points on your rink. So most of your systems that have building automation, you're just collecting 1 point, whether it's center ice or somewhere else. And you might say, okay, we're at 15 degrees Fahrenheit. That's great, but that's not your entire surface or the majority of your surface covered. That's just 1 point. So it could be 15, but you could have a variance of 5 or 6 degrees. And one side could be 19 degrees, the other side could be 13. And we've seen that. So I'll show you with this system. So I turn this on and bear with me again because I connect and pair this to a whole bunch of different devices. So go to my Bluetooth devices and I'll pull it over here. I'm just going to forget it just to repair it. It's always easier if you use the same device every time, but unfortunately I don't. And there we go. And it's going to pull up down here and it's going to find a Bluetooth IR temp gun. Once you do it the first time, you don't have to do it over and over and over again. And it's going to pair for you instantly once it searches for it. And there we go. Where's it? Here. Oh, it paired to something else. Let me just see here. See, this is the problem when you pair it with a bunch of other devices. Give me 1 sec. If there's any questions so far, feel free to ask. This is why we always suggest have one dedicated iPad, but I never listen to my own advice. I thought I had turned my computer off, but that's okay. So we're going to see a pop up here and Bluetooth off. There we go. Okay. There it is. Connect. And just wait a second for it to pair. There we go. Done. So now I can go 21 on my ice, and we've actually demoed this at a rink or two. I can switch it from Celsius to Fahrenheit. I don't have ice here right now, but I can point it at the wall, 75 degrees, press send, done. I can point it over there, close to the window, send. I can point it here on my desk, send. And you can do an entire ice surface, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, as quick as you can walk with being safe, obviously. And then you can start to monitor all this. You don't need any sort of fancy devices and stuff that needs calibrated and set up. It logs the date, the time, who did it. You can do it multiple times a day because it's super quick. You can do it in the morning before you do your first flood, at the end of the day, before, during a tournament, and compare all of this, your surface temp, your slab temp, your ambient temperatures, dew point, humidity, your ice thickness as well, and see how all of that interacts and compares. A lot of valuable data. We have some folks that have been using this since the beginning of the year, once they put their ice in, and seeing how their temperatures drop and where they've started to settle and where different problems are. Maybe there's deeper issues like in your subfloor. This will help to be able to track some of that information. Once that's done, you press complete. This is just demo data. Obviously, I sure hope your ice isn't 75 degrees. If it was, it definitely wouldn't be ice anymore. There's your max min average variance. If I go to the results, if I press generate, submit, there you go. And it's telling you what the temperature should be, and based on your ideal readings, if some areas are warmer, too cold, these can be adjusted because we know for different buildings, there's different ideal temps that you want to have, and based on the occupancy of people in the facility. But this is a good starting point to be able to monitor that, compare it. And we were talking with a rink the other day, and he said they have people from figure skating coming in saying the ice is too brittle, too hard, and they're chipping away at it with their skates, and they're complaining, but we don't have data to prove or show, hey, look, our ice isn't too cold or too warm, whatever the case is. Now they're able to standardize this. And if you have multiple rinks, all of this data will help you to have consistent ice surfaces to the best of your ability across all of your buildings, and the same experience for any of your user groups, regardless of which facility they're in, because it's all normalized, it's all standardized across all your buildings. They're all using the same tools to a degree, obviously. That's the surface temperature module. If anyone has questions about it or about the IR gun, feel free to ask. So we went through a little bit of the mobile app. We went through the surface temperatures. Next, we want to show you is our ice rink or our ice scorecard. So you've got all these modules. You've got how many floods you've done, your ice thickness, your edging depth, your floor variance of your concrete, obviously the variance from your thickest point to your thinnest point. We're talking about surface temperature. With water quality, we can track your TDS and your temperature and your salinity and your conductivity, all these different readings. To know if you have roughly good ice or bad ice or where you need to improve, to aggregate all this information, you have to look at 20 or 30 data points and compare the most recent ones. It's overwhelming, let alone if you oversee 3, 10, 20 sheets of ice. That just becomes impossible. So what we've done, this isn't a way of saying this score is set in stone and this means that you have phenomenal ice or this means you have awful ice. But we've taken a page out of some of these other organizations that have sleep scores, where your Apple Watch or your Whoop or whatever you use tells you at the end of the day, hey, you had a 96, you had a 75, and these are the metrics we collect, and this is what it's saying. Maybe you had an awful night's sleep and you woke up 5 times. Maybe you had a nightmare. Maybe the score is a little bit elevated from what you think it should be. That's fine, but at least it gives you a baseline and it's aggregating data and portraying it simply to you so that you can just see numerically, is it good or is it bad? Is it a 94? Is it a 75? And the most important part is seeing over a week or a month, is it consistent, or have I had 1 or 2 days when it's dropped? And what's the case? Why did that happen? Right now, that's not out there in the industry. And because of all of this data that we're collecting, and we'll show you how much data we have in the system, we've put together a nice scorecard. So this is not to shame anybody or to tell someone you have awful ice, or to say someone who has a 75 out of 100 versus 74 out of 100 definitely means that their ice is better by 1%. No. But it's to just help put all of your information in one spot, give you a rough idea of what some ideal targets are that you should have, some forgiving targets, and what you should be shooting for, and what your overall score is. And if you've got 3 or 4 buildings and one is an OHL and 2 or 3 are community ones, and the other one is an old facility that's 40 years old, what are all of your scores aggregated? And it normalizes it and puts it all in one spot. If someone has 3 or 4 inches of ice and their floor is off and their insulation's bad and their surface temperature is 25 degrees Fahrenheit and their TDS is 350, well, their ice relatively might not be as good as someone who's able to maintain at 1.25 inches, has good insulation, has their TDS around 80 to 100, all these different items kind of all lining up together, aggregating and giving you a score that you're able to monitor and track. So uh, the performance score tells you ideally what your numbers are. The confidence rating is how much data you've actually collected. If you've collected 1 point ice thickness and you haven't collected anything else, and it's 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, obviously best practice in your programming, you might have 100 for your performance score, but your confidence is like 10 out of 100 because you're missing so many other points. So, and it encourages your staff to go out and collect more information and really become caretakers of their ice because they're going to want to improve these scores and improve the confidence rating of what they're collecting. Then we can take that information and use AI, which is just incredible, and some of the stuff that it's pumping out and telling you what you need to do to improve your operation. Not nightmares or complete overhauls of your operation, but maybe, hey, your edges are too high. Look at incorporating edging into your daily practices more often. Or maybe your TDS is way too high. Look at potentially purchasing an RO system, or your TDS is too low. Look at using baking soda in your flood water. Variety of different things that it can actually suggest. This is brand new, so we haven't had any examples of people saying, "Whoa, I used this recommendation and this did this for us." But being able to have all of that, then seeing your score over a period of time, having all 4 or 5 of your rinks on a dashboard with their overall score, uh, we think just standardizes it. We deal with some individuals where they haven't worked in rinks a long time and they've taken over a director or a manager role or in a municipality. And for them to learn how ice works is a full-time job in and of itself and years of experience. Hopefully, this will help simplify it and not that they can just look at a graph and say, I know everything about ice, but give them the tools to understand what they can do to improve their operation, or for you as an operator to present this to your director and say, look, this is why our ice is bad. Our TDS is awful. We need an RO system. If we have an RO system, that'll improve everything drastically. As opposed to them saying, I have no idea. You'll have the data and it'll be simple for them to understand and visualize it. So it'll definitely work both ways and be helpful and valuable for you. Okay, next one here, dressing room assignment. So before I show this to you, this is not meant for anybody that has a booking scheduling software that already has a dressing room assignment. We have no interest in competing with any of those companies. We work very well with some of them. Bond Sports as an example. If you are a Bond Sports customer, we're not saying perfect. You might use their stuff for booking and scheduling, but use ours for the dressing room assignments. No. If you have a booking and scheduling software, use that provider for your dressing room assignments. We built this module because we have customers and members and users who don't have anything in place, and it's just a whiteboard. And we're seeing that more and more common, or it's a PowerPoint that you got to put together every day or every week and put it up and flip the slides, and it's not feasible. And since we're working with now almost 600 rinks, there's a large number of rinks that don't have anything in place and they just want a simple solution that even they can type it in or fill it in and have it be like daily, weekly, monthly, annual bookings, and just have it pre-populate for them. So that's the reason for why we did this. By no means scrap what you're already using unless it's whiteboards or PowerPoint. So I'll show you what it is and how the system works. So this was just launched this morning. I'm going to log out here. Let's see, I want to log out. It's okay, I don't need to log out. This is the back end of the system where you can pull it up on your tablet, on your phone, on your computer, and list all of your dressing room assignments. This isn't available yet. It is coming soon. If you have multiple facilities, you can go building by building. I kind of want to log out. It's okay. So you can see the beauty of a new tool. You can see how many dressing room assignments today or how many scheduled bookings we have across all of our pads inside this one facility, how many rooms currently in use, how many upcoming events, how many recurring events. And it's super easy to add it, and we're going to make it even easier. So automatically today's date, the system will have a drop down of all of your rinks that are already populated in Sub-Zero. So we'll know, okay, this building has these 4 pads. So you would just select it as a drop down. So I'll just put here Steve's rink. Start time, there'll be redundancies where you can't overbook or book the same dressing room that's already in use. So we'll go from 15:10 until when do we want to go? Let's just say until 18. Set occurrences. So this is beautiful for the whiteboards or for the PowerPoint. You don't have to fill this in every single time. It's just, hey, this is a either custom, monthly, weekly, daily. So we'll just put daily. And when does it end? So this is like scheduling your Zoom meeting until the end of the season, whatever. What's it going to be called? Uh, Junior Ducks Camp, whatever you want to call it. And again, these all you can load up all of your dressing rooms eventually and just auto select it. So if you have certain names or if it's 1 through 9 or 1 through 4, you don't have to type it every single time. But just for the sake of this presentation, save assignment, boom. You've now got that plugged in. It'll auto populate for the next 4 or 5 weeks. And here's all of your events. You can edit, delete them, see when they're reoccurring, when they're done. You can see tomorrow's schedule, future schedules. Um, we've made the ability to add your own custom logo and to add all of your different advertising or some. So we actually sent a survey out to all of our customers saying, what features would you want? Something that they want is the ability to add reminders, notices, hey, the rink's closed tomorrow or the rink's not opening till later, so they can see that. All of that saved here. And we're adding the ability to add advertising, roughly $500 a year for a spot. 10 companies can advertise, and it all gets updated here automatically. And the rinks will keep 70% of that revenue, and that'll be for each building. So if you have 4 or 5 single pad facilities, that's individual revenue for each and every facility. And we have some rinks we spoke to about this, and they said we have companies knocking down our door saying anytime there's a new opportunity to advertise somewhere, they're like, our boards are filled up. We've got stuff flowing into the lobby. They're like, if we can give them another opportunity to put ads on our TV screen, like we have 10 companies we could call right now that would be all over it. So once that's done, you press submit. All this stuff auto refreshes and auto populates to what you'd have up on a TV. You can have your logo, dressing room assignment, what arena it is, Sub-Zero. Here's all of your advertisements. So just pick some random ones off Google. Here's your reminders that you have for people. Here's your upcoming dressing room assignments, what's live, what's starting soon, which rink it's on. All the old ones are hidden. So you don't have to sit there all day and wait for it to scroll and go through the next one. And it's all auto filled in. We're going to add a few widgets and QR codes where a company can scan it to then submit a request to be sponsored here, a QR code for people to submit their feedback on the facility, and a widget where we've got people counters, standard ones. They don't need connection to IoT or anything crazy. And your staff can upload how many people are walking in and out of your facility, and you can show, hey, look, this year we've had 256,000 people in and out of the facility, which then encourages people to want to advertise to get their pizza shop or their real estate company visible by all of these people coming in on a regular basis. I know I'm always going to miss something. And then we've also got, so I know even last Monday, we're playing hockey at a local rink here, and there's a new guy joining our game, just a pickup game, and he texts, hey, what rink are we on and what dressing room? And everyone's frantic. I don't know, rink B or rink 2. I don't know what it's called. And I don't know what dressing room. Usually it's on the whiteboard outside. And you see everyone texting. So everyone says there's got to be an easier way of doing it. So for people that do the booking, we're looking at potentially adding a cell phone number. We're not taking anyone's private information, just a number. And where is it here? Texting that individual their dressing room assignment. So whoever's in charge or did the booking, if that's me and I got my 20 buddies that were playing and my number's on file, I can opt in to receive a text message that'll say dressing room assignment. This is my rental name. When here's the facility, here's the rink, and here's the 2 rooms. The rink's logo or rink logo, Sub-Zero logo, and the ads beneath it. Scrolling so they can see it, click on it, go to that website of that company. More impressions, more value to your sponsors, the companies you're working with. And then once they're done their booking, we can then send a link to those individuals to say, hey, please fill out a survey. Not anything complicated or personal information, just 5 fields about the cleanliness, amenities, accessibility, professionalism, safety, and security of that facility. And you start to aggregate tons of valuable data on your facility performance, especially for Ontario or Canadian rinks that have to deal with, that are municipal, that have to deal with asset management and level of service. If you show your treasurer, your CAO, or your director all of this patron feedback data that you have collected in the software for level of service, they'll lose their minds. And they'll say, how on earth did you collect all this information, get access to all of this? So that's the dressing room assignment. We are planning on launching. So some of these modules are already available, like the surface temp. The app is available to select customers and going to be rolled out over the next few weeks. Same with the dressing room module as well. And we'll continue to add more features. One more thing on the dressing room assignment. So we have tons of flood logs in our system. But the problem is that we don't know how many floods an organization should have done. So maybe they filled in 1,000 or 2,000 floods over the last 6 months. I don't know if it's supposed to be 2,300 or 2,600 because we don't have their schedule and we don't know it. So by having the dressing room assignment like this here, we'll know roughly that, hey, in between each of these programs, there should be a flood or there should be a cut. And that'll auto populate in the system here for you, and they can open it and fill in the flood. But then we can compare at the end of the day, week, month, or year, and say, hey, your operators have only submitted 64% of floods that should have been generated by your programming. And then you can keep on top of it and say, hey guys, this is not acceptable, especially from a liability perspective. If we're not filling in all these floods, and the system will technically know which ones, because of the time they submitted it, that were done and which ones weren't filled in. And this will help you keep on track of filling those floods in. And even through the app, sending you a push notification saying, program is done. Don't forget to fill in your flood. They click on it, put in 5 fields, and that flood log is submitted. And you'll have more data, more accurate, more consistent, and you won't have to worry about data gaps. And then from this data, we'll be able to run trends on ice availability, what percentage of ice you have sold, how much goes unsold, the cost of ice, the cost of unbooked ice or available ice that's just been left or unsold, or dead ice, if that's what you want to call it, at the end of the week or at the end of the year. That can then go into your cost recovery or your reporting when it comes to across all of our buildings, which ones are the busiest, which ones aren't the busiest, and how much are we losing in just dead ice over a period of time. I don't want to say sneaky, it's a different way of being able to collect that information just from putting in your dressing room assignments. There'll need to be a little bit of tweaking of it here and there, but it's a great start to be able to aggregate a lot of valuable information that you'd probably have to collect 4 different times or in 4 different systems. That'll all be kind of done remote and digitally. Okay. Last thing to show you is the usage module, but I'll just kind of go through and make sure we went through everything here. Oh, okay. Thank you. I guess I missed 2 questions. Can you opt to have 12-hour time? Jody, good question. Yes, we're working on that. So just like AM, PM, those are all minor tweaks that we're working on. We just figured we'll just do 24 hours just to make it simple, but absolutely. How does the info get uploaded to the TV? And thank you for that, Jody. How does the info get uploaded to the TV lobbies? That's a great question because we just got asked that earlier. So if you look here, so we don't want to compare with other companies, and everybody does stuff differently, and that's fine, and that's perfect. We don't want to sell you hardware. I don't want to sell you a TV that you put up and you have to pay me for the TV back, and you don't get a check from this for 4 years because you have to pay off all the hardware we sold you. And we've spoken to some rinks where they say, I want an 85-inch TV or I want a 60-inch TV. I don't want to buy one from you that's 42 inches and locked with your stuff on it. I want to just have it out there, do what I want, and put this up there. And if I want 2 TVs, 3 TVs, I can do whatever I want. We completely agree. So as you see here, this is a custom link. So each and every facility, and let me just go back here, will have its own page, and that corresponding page has its own dashboard. So you can put up a smart TV. All smart TVs now, our TV at home is probably 4 years old, and it's got a web browser on it. And we've been to community rinks where they have web browsers accessible through their TV. So you just make sure you have a smart TV that has access to the internet and can pull up like Chrome or something or their own built-in browser, Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, and you just either type it in or just access this link, and we can have a simplified link, obviously, and that'll pull up and you leave it there. And as you can see here, it'll auto refresh. So you don't have to go and have someone walk up and refresh it and say, hey, we need to see the new dressing rooms. Everything will, you'll just leave it there and it'll stay. You don't have to log in, you don't have to refresh it. It's all going to be accessible right here through the TV. Three different TVs, one in each building if you want, and have the link for each of those facilities up on the screen. Uh, People can save the link to their phone if they want. Like I can favorite it if I always go to this rink, and I can just send it out to my buddies, and we can always have the link for this facility for what dressing rooms we'll have access to. In case if I don't want it, I can't see, it's the screen's too small, or I can't read I can't read the small font. I can scan a QR code, pull it up, and have access right on my phone. And then you have all these people. We can see how many impressions are coming in. Uh, okay, Brad, when there is a game, will both teams be on the time slot bar? Yeah, Brad. So that's up to you how you put it in. So right now it's not drop downs. So if you just type in like Hawks versus uh, Stars. There you go. We can do a lookup just like the dressing rooms where you can put in your minor league teams. So you don't have to manually type it out and you select home away. So it could be team and event. And then if you leave that blank, you can do home and away and it'll show those two teams. Those are all feedback, which is great feedback, Brad, that can enhance the system. And then you can run reports as to how many hours did the Hawks play this year, how many hours did the Stars play this year. Um, and then this data you can use for dressing room cleaning. So, hey, these dressing rooms are booked all day from 8 until 4, so we're not going to be able to clean it till after 4 o'clock, but the other ones are available in the morning. And where we want to take this to high in the sky in the future, maybe 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, is small little displays, not iPads because that might be too expensive, outside each of the dressing rooms where it says what's the current activity in that dressing room. So if it's green means it's available. If it's red, it'll say, hey, this is Hawks and it's booked till 3 p.m. So you don't have someone accidentally walking in with a bag of all this equipment and they forgot to lock the doors. And you don't go in with all of your cleaning stuff to walk in and say, oh, this one's fully booked. And you'll see all of those as live signage, just like the dressing rooms, but specific for each room, updated for you to keep on top of. Uh, My friend Adam, can you do two different displays? Example, we would like to do one in the lobby and a banner describing how to get to the lower level, and one in the lower level that has banner at the bottom specifying the direction to the locker room. So Adam, it's all yours. So this is the system, like this is the page. The page won't really change. We'll add bells and whistles, but it's not like we'll have different versions of it, at least not for now. But you can have as many screens up uh, with these pages or with this dashboard accessible. Might not, it won't be customizable, but you can put it throughout the entire facility. If you want to add a note, as an example, with directions of where they need to go, or what they need to do for anybody, that can be added there absolutely for sure. Or we can do a scrolling one right across the top so people don't miss it and see exactly what they need. I hope that answers your question, Adam. Um, Corey, how does the people counter you mentioned work? Okay, Corey, you're a good listener. So a rink in Alaska showed this to us. It's a people counter. It's very simple. So you have one on one side of the wall, one on the other. One's a receiver, one's a sender. No connection to Wi-Fi, no nothing. Once you walk by it, it tracks who went by, it pings it. And once you walk the other way, it pings it and it shows on the screen the number and it aggregates it. So we bought one, put it at our office, and now it's at, I don't know, 150 or so. Obviously, Rink would have a lot more even within like a few hours, and it just tallies it and updates it. We're going to add a little widget or module where your operator can walk up, see the number, uh, write the number down, press submit, today's date and time, and it'll aggregate it and tally it all up, and then show it here as the total number since the beginning you did it. And then you can track that traffic across all of your buildings. Which one's the busiest? Which one isn't? How many people have you had total? Use that in your marketing. Use that in your asset management. Use that to request funding from council to say, look at how many people we had coming into our facilities. It's very simple. Corey, we can chat about sending you guys a few for your facilities up there to start collecting that information in the system here. And I think the trends would be pretty impressive. And there's no IT requirements. It's just you put it on the wall and it just collects it and visualize it, which is nice. You don't have to subscribe to anything. You don't have to access connected to your Wi-Fi or to servers, none of that weird stuff. Um, well, fair. Okay, anonymous attendee, another good question. Will the dressing room assignment feature be a part of Sub-Zero subscription, including the cost? So um, if you buy the entire platform, so $200 a month for your first sheet of ice, $100 a month for every additional sheet of ice, yes. If you say that is absolutely crazy and I don't want to purchase the entire system and I don't want to do digital ice management because I'm happy with paper, I just want the dressing room assignment so I can put it up and generate some revenue. Uh, we are considering the ability for you to buy that outright, not buy that outright, sorry, subscribe separately just for the dressing room assignment module. The pricing will be something similar in line to what you're looking at here. Uh, and it will be on a building by building rate because one building has 6 pads. You might have 6 buildings that have 1 pad. So you can't charge by sheet of ice because that one facility will only be able to generate revenue for that one building. And it'll have 6 pads under one roof, whereas the other ones will have 6 separate buildings with 6 separate pages and 6 separate dressing rooms. So it's uh, a little bit of a mixed bag. So Sub-Zero is typically charged by sheet of ice. So if you just subscribe to it, you'll get access to the dressing room module. If you don't want all of these features and you just want the dressing room assignment, then we charge by building. I don't have a firm price on what it is right now, but ballpark, let's say for your first facility, somewhere between $100 to $200 a month, and then for every additional facility, somewhere between $50 to $100 a month. We're still sorting that out for people who just want the dressing room assignment. So it's like half the cost, and especially if you have multiple sheets in one facility, it's technically saving you money as opposed to buying individual sheets for Sub-Zero, if that makes sense. But if you want to reach out to me directly, we can have a more specific conversation, especially around your layout of facilities and sheets of ice and so on. I hope that answered your question, but phenomenal question. Man, we've never had so many questions. This is awesome. Can you have a lobby monitor for each rink instead of having them all in one? Yes, Brian, absolutely. So if you guys have, is it 2 or 3 buildings? You can pick and choose. We just give you the software. You can put as many TVs as you want, whatever size. We give you the website or the dashboard or the link, and you put it up wherever you want. You have complete autonomy on that. Bronson, can the information be filled out prior and just staff on site assign dressing rooms? Yeah. So really simple. So you just click edit. So someone can upload all of the rinks. And if you say, okay, well, that's not the dressing room for there, I'm just going to remove those ones, save. There you go. Now it's just 4 and 5. I should remove that apostrophe, but it still works the same. And then the dashboard will, now let me just edit it just to be sure. 4 and 5. Save. And then if I go to, I got too many tabs open here. There you go. 4 and 5. So that updates right away. So you can make changes on the fly, and I think you can apply those changes then to the rest of those bookings. You don't have to manually change it for every single week like you'd have to do in a spreadsheet. Okay, very, very good questions. What is the accuracy of the measurement of the Bluetooth IR gun? We're noticing within half a degree, and we actually are enhancing it because we've had the opportunity to test it. We're seeing that with the ice, especially with the lights from your LED or from the glass, can refract or reflect and affect the temperature. We see the temperature fluctuate. So there's a special, I have no idea. Well, starting to have an idea how this works, but the team that's building this for us, they're adding a special lens to it that will counteract the reflection of the lighting and the glass on the ice surface to have an even more accurate temperature. I hope that answers your question. Is it possible to assign home team dressing room numbers and away team dressing room numbers? Pascal, yes, absolutely. So to the other point that I believe Brad had, so once you put in, if we switch it to have like home team, away team, then you can say home team 3, away team 5. Yeah, very, very, very doable. That's just feedback of enhancing and building the system. Does this run off a browser dressing room? Can it run offline or network connection required? Andrew, we just had that discussion just before we hopped on the Zoom meeting. So to start it and open it up, you'd need internet to access it. But we'll chat with our guys about, so once it's there, it's there. We were talking about, hey, if internet goes down or then how do people access this? We're thinking about, or we're discussing the ability to have this be cached with cookies. so that then it's there, it saves, and until your Wi-Fi comes back up, then it will refresh again and get rid of those 6 events that are currently on and show the next two. Um, and it'll always show the current ones and the next ones. If you have internet out for 2 or 3 days, I think there's bigger problems than dressing room assignments and displaying it. But absolutely the way for it to be cached and be able to be stored and saved for a few hours until the internet comes back up. Great question, Andrew. Brad, will you be able to export the depth check, circle check reports PDF directly from the app? Another amazing question. Yes, you can. Some buildings for their leagues, they have to send it in for game day reporting. So we already have that through the website, but on the app as well. And you'll get push notifications saying, hey, so-and-so did nice steps. You don't have to log in or guess or look for a clipboard. You'll get the notification, click on it, pulls it up, and you just press export to PDF or email it with all the information that you need for all those different sorts of checks. We don't want to inundate people, so you can pick and choose which analytics you want to know. Our ICE is only in September to March. Is there an alternative pay structure other than annual? Unfortunately, there's not, just because we hear stuff all over. Most people are September to March or April. Some are year round. And if we have to bill you, people don't want to get an invoice for $99 a month every month and keep on top of it and pay it. And then if their ICE is a little bit longer or comes out sooner, or if they want to log in and generate reports and stuff, we say, well, sorry, it's only accessible those 9 months. We give you a little bit of a cheaper rate and we charge it annually. So you pay it one time and you get full access to the system. And we're also storing all of your data. So if you did an ISTEP check from 3-4 years ago, that's stored and saved in the cloud. And that's part of the cost of us housing all this data. And I'll show you in a sec just how much data we have. So that annual subscription might not just be also because you're using it, but also because all of your data is stored, maintained, and accessible. And you'll probably need to log in and run trends and reports over the summer for council meetings and board meetings. And some of the stuff like dressing room assignments you might use in the summer. Your ice might be out, but you might be using your floor for pickleball or events or indoor tennis. I don't know. And you'll still need to use dressing room assignments and other features. So we don't want to turn it off. We just leave it for you and you just go year to year, just like Disney Plus or Netflix. And I can't keep up with these questions. Tim, what does the dressing room module look like to the users on the TV? Tim, this is it. So up on the TV, they'll see your logo, they'll see Sub-Zero, they'll see the rink, the time, all of the upcoming events, all of the advertisements here. We're going to add, as mentioned, some bells and whistles about people, traffic counters, and like a QR code to access this on their phone, maybe an alert banner at the top, and can't remember one or two other items, but this is pretty much it, barring some other minor updates. This is exactly what you'll see on the TV. Nice slick dashboard. Zach, just making sure, if we have Smart Monitor capable of handling a web browser, it would be a different link for a different rink, no extra hardware? Yes. So if you have 3 rinks and one's a twin pad, single pad, 5 pad, doesn't matter. Each of those have their own individual link. So you can just toggle between area or between building, right? And you can just update it, and each of those have their own link. I just have one link accessible to me right now, but you put that up on that TV, no additional cost. You take care of your own hardware, you do whatever you want. We're just providing the software to add and upload all of it and to display it with the link, and you can use it how often you want, wherever you want, no additional cost, no additional charge. It's all yours. And no extra hardware, whatever you want to use. Will there be an option to add real-time scoring? That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's interesting. We'll look into that. We'll have to see, because we don't want to get too far out of the realm of ice management. But to track scores, and we have to get but we'd have to get some rinks that would be dedicated to doing it. If one or two say, yeah, we want to try it, we'll have to see. But if people say, no, that's valuable, and for us to have the scores and log the scores, and a bunch of people want it, just like how a bunch of people wanted this. Like we have probably 50 or 70 organizations that asked to have this dressing room assignment built. So if we get a bunch and say we also want to track scores, yeah, to add a few fields to log a score and have it historically and run trends, it's not the end of the world. If we pay for a subscription and decide not to renew, how long do you store our data for, and is it accessible for us to show we need, or can we do a final export? Yes, great question again. So you pay annually. So if you cancel at any time, and you have that for the rest of that year. And once that year's up, then it's kind of just like, again, any other subscription service where once it's due, it'll tell you, hey, your subscription ends August 31st, 2026. You cancel it, you terminate it, access is done, but you can export your data anytime. We encourage people once a year, export your data, generate reports, whether PDF, CSV, whatever you need, and just be mindful. Hey, if you're going to cancel, log in, export your stuff ahead of time, just so then you ensure the data's still there and you have everything you need. Then tell us, hey, I hate this thing, I'm canceling. Feel free. I hope that answered your question. I don't think we've ever had so many questions. Usually it's people just saying, when's this going to end? So that is great. Went through that, went through this. This is some of the awesome feedback that we're getting. I just saw this earlier, so I figured it's valuable to share, but we get tons of these all the time. Regarding Sub-Zero, this Tyler here mentioned, he said, amazing product, makes everyday ops a breeze and accessible to the whole team. It's been a real game changer, putting us miles ahead of where we were before we had Sub-Zero. I highly recommend anyone who wants to better their rinks and their employees' capabilities to produce the best products for their rink customers to get on board. Everything from onboarding to training was so easy and simple, and we didn't pay him to say that. And we're hearing this day in and day out, which is tremendous pride for us, because as a family business, building this little tool and having hundreds of rinks utilize it within a 12-month period and give us great feedback and reviews, that's the ultimate pride that we could have for what we've built and what we've put together. Obviously, for your benefit, I tell people all the time, I never worked a day a rink in my life, and I wouldn't survive working in a rink beyond 1 or 2 days. So this system is really built from you guys giving us feedback, just like, hey, can we add custom scores? And that's how we've been able to build this and build a tool specific for you. If we built it how we think ice rinks should work, none of you would touch it or use it. Because we've built it based on your feedback, that's where people say, hey, this makes sense with a Bluetooth caliper and ice step checks and flood logs. That's how the system is and how it came to be. So I'm going to show you one last thing here. So the end result, we're going to want to have widgets on your iPhone, on your iPad, personal device, or on your work device where you can see all these trends. Sub-Zero, if someone says, I don't get it, paper's free, why would I buy a software to do this? Or if someone says, I don't want to drill and I don't want to type stuff in, Sub-Zero is not for you. Honestly, we're not going to try and beg you or convince you to use it. Sub-Zero is meant for those who take pride in their ice and want to have the best sheet of ice possible, and gives them the data and the analytics to do so. And those are the individuals that we strive to work with and are excited to work with as well. So, and that's why we continue to build this for those individuals. And the feedback we get on a daily basis is just tremendous. Last major module is and I'll address these questions in a second, is our Dasherboard checklist. We've been wrestling with this for honestly 2 years, trying to figure out how to do it. And we just had kind of an aha moment where we said, hey, some rinks have 42, 86 board segments, and for us to customize that for every rink would be a nightmare. How do we do this? One day we just realized we don't need to track every single one individually. We can start by just breaking the rink boards, or as they say in Europe, barriers, into segments. So 12 segments, and you just check 5 things: the kick plate, the dasher board, the glass, and the netting, maybe some other stuff. Save it, boom, 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 all of your rinks. We did a presentation for this morning, and we asked the folks there, we said, if in your existing work order system, if you have a problem on your dasher boards like screws popping out, how do you explain which rink it's on, where on the rink those screws are popping out? It's impossible, is it? They're like, yeah, it's hard to communicate that and for someone to read that and know where to go. With this, I'll know where my ice resurfacer gate is. I walk out and I'll say, okay, it's section number 4 by the Coca-Cola ad as an example. Walk out, there it is, fix it, address it, done. Visualized, easy, simple. You'll have staff wanting to do these logs so much more often. So I have one last thing to show you, but I'll address these final questions. Adam, one quick flood log question. Is there a way to have an option for level ice with depth setting? The setting has been amazing for us so far, getting us to be more information, machine op wise. We use level ice. Yes, so we've had those discussions. Adam, if you want to send me an email with what you suggest as to how we can use, like it would just be a checkbox saying level ice was used and then here's the reading. Because we want to figure out what kind of trends, what kind of reports we want to generate from knowing that level ice was used. Definitely happy to do that. Pascal, is app coming soon to Android? Yes. So we're starting with iOS just because that's the majority of devices. Unfortunately, that's what I have, so that's what I can test on. Once we're happy with it and we're comfortable and the customers are comfortable with it, then we will replicate it for Android. We don't want to have problems on iOS, then move problems over to Android, and then everybody just hates it. So we want to be very careful. But absolutely. Tim, can we use the app now or do we have to send that to us? So, Tim, just send me an email. I will give you the private link for you to download the app. We have about 15 who started yesterday. I saw somebody's already logged in 10 or 15 times since yesterday, since it's been available. It's just the iStep checks for 29 points. So those that use 37 and 52, that'll be coming soon. Flood logs and other stuff is not available yet. So if you just want to do an iStep check, 29 points with the Bluetooth caliper on the app, happy to give you access. So feel free to reach out. Um, Last thing I will show you is the usage. So we just put this together yesterday, and I was absolutely floored. So in partnership with RFA, we've put together some articles. So if you got a Facility Forum magazine, most recent one, the next one coming out, we're continuing to write articles. We've got tons of findings from the flood logs about like how much water is typically used, tanks of water. We put bins, my apologies. At the end of the flood, what's the end battery or fuel consumption? Majority still have 3/4 tank or battery charge. For each flood, what's the actual consumption? 70% of the time, 0 to 5%. Who's done the most floods out of all the organizations? We kept it really high level, but some of the details we have is just mind blowing. And I'll show you some of the usage that we have as well. Yeah. So if I go from I'm just going to play around with some dates. So it officially launched October 1st, 2024. And if I go until what's today, the 6th. So if I go from October 1st till November 6th, the same days last year, let's see how much usage we got in the system. 768 floods, 73 iStep checks. None of this stuff was available. Don't worry about these numbers. We have to update them. That's just total all time, not specific for the state range yet. But 768 floods, 73 iSteps. That's, that might be pretty good for a month's worth of use. Now let's compare that to this past October. So let's say start of the season, October 1st until today. So we said 768, 73, and everything else is pretty much zero. Now in the same period of time, and this is nothing, no demo data. So this isn't us doing presentations and me just putting in fake stuff. We removed the Marmac area demo data. This is strictly customers. So in the last month, almost 10,000 floods alone, 1,500 iSteps on the dot within the last month, 109 edging depths, 1,100 ice resurfacer checks. That's almost as much as the iSteps. That's pretty crazy. 83 surface temps, almost 1,000 plant readings, notes, water quality, 2 floor evaluations we've done because we don't have time to do it during this time of the year. I'll show you one more comparison. So that data is insane. If I go, let's do the same thing. So let's do October. It's the first day of last year. And let's go all the way to August 31st. So like the end of the year because people start to put their ice in September. 28,000 flood logs, 4,000 iSteps, edging, ice resurfacing, blah, blah, blah. Now let's just see from September 1st until today. So here I'm going to go to today, September 1st until today. I know I'm showing a bunch of weird wacko numbers. So this is just within the last 2 months. This was like a whole season, pretty much like almost 10 months worth of data. In just the last 2 months, already like almost half or 33% of that, almost half, just within the last 2 months. So by the end of this season, and with more and more rinks coming on board, the amount of data that we'll have is just be incredible. So if I go there until today, let's see all time, all of the reports, all the information. There we go. Almost 50,000 flood logs. We did training this morning. We had this up on a TV and you could see the number actually update as it was there. So it was like 44,000, I don't know, it was 812. I don't remember how many iSteps, and nobody go and just do a fake flood log on their phone right now just to see that number go up. iStep checks total 6,500 iStep checks in just over a year. A lot of these features are brand new, so the edging depth was just released. Ice resurfacer checks, that's really good. Surface temps, this is just released in the last month. Plant readings, notes, I love that. Water quality, we did 165 floor evaluations over the summer. Ourselves and Jeff Irwin from Canadian Rink Services are kind of all over the place. We have 308 areas for a total of 363 facilities. So some areas have multiple buildings, some just have one, or most just have one building, for a total of 589 ice pads, ice sheets used sub-zero. Some might be a 6 pad facility, majority are 1 to 2 pads. Uh, Last year, we're going to have this updated, but last year, this time, there's probably like 150 ice pads. And we're continuing to onboard 2 to 3 new customers a week, which is roughly around 10 sheets of ice, give or take. It's been phenomenal progress, phenomenal updates. Thank you, everyone, for joining. If you have any questions, if you want me to review other features, feel free. Please fill out the follow-up survey. That'll help us know which modules you thought were interesting. I won't say impressive. I don't want to oversell it. If you'd like a follow-up, phenomenal. If you want a 1 month free trial, Bluetooth caliper, get things going, perfect. We'll get that all through the survey. Again, transparent on the pricing. If you want all the bells, all the whistles, your first sheet of ice, $200 a month. Every additional sheet of ice, $100 a month. Caliper, give or take, $150, $200. You get all this stuff, and obviously more than what we showed you. If that's crazy and you say, hey, you know what, I got to get budget approval and I just want to start small, start with one of my rinks, and I just want to do ice measurements, $100 a month for your first sheet of ice, $50 for every additional sheet of ice. Caliper can't be beat. Half the price pretty much to still go digital and start to see some valuable trends in analytics. Yeah, let me just, I haven't really showed you guys any trends. So here's some of those reports where you can see your average ice thickness across all of your pads over a period of time, your compressor hours, your water consumption, how much is being flood or cut, SAM, ice resurfacer, compressor hours, and life cycle events. Tons and tons and tons of really cool information. Some I'd love to show you, but some of it's confidential and I can't just start pulling up some private information on this webinar. But thank you everyone for joining, and we're good to go. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, follow up in the survey, but thank you for your time.